Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture Down Under. Today we're going to be doing another comic overview. Today we're going to be taking a look at Absolute Top 10, which is my first overview I'm going to be doing for what's called a whale. So if anyone doesn't know what I mean by the term whale, it's a term that we use for an omnibus or an absolute edition that is really long out of print. So this one's been out of print for quite a long time, and this is really the only way you can get the Top 10 series by Alan Moore without tracking down paperbacks, which I think are also out of print as well. So within the comic community that I've noticed so far, this one is considered a whale. A lot of people haven't got this in their collection. It has been out of print for years. So I was really lucky when I picked this up. I found this with another whale at the end of 2018 at a local comic book store, and I got this and also the Absolute Promethea Volume 1, also by Alan Moore. I got both of these for $200, which was a pretty damn good deal considering how out of print and rare those books were. So let's take a look at this one. Like all Absolute editions, we have the big slipcase on the outside, and this one's no exception. It's got cover price at the bottom of $99.99 US, and considering this is 2013, it would probably run you about $125 to $150 if they reprinted this, because it's a very big Absolute edition. So looking at the box, we've got a wraparound cover, and on both sides altogether you pretty much get the whole cast of the story. This takes place within Alan Moore's own sort of mini universe, America's Best Comics, that he created upon his return to DC in the 90s, after, you know, most people know the story of what happened with Alan Moore and Watchmen and all the rest of it, so I won't go into that story here. But he didn't want to return to DC, it sort of just happened to him. Anyway, to get back to the book, a lot of DC's older Absolute editions also come with a dust jacket. So this one also has a dust jacket, and you can see it's burgundy. It's got 3 of the main characters at the front. Again, it's got Alan Moore's name at the top on the side. It's got the title. It's got Gene Hart and Zander Cannon, who between the two of them do the majority of the art within this book. And then on the back we get another piece of awesome art by Gene Hart showing the majority of the characters in the main cast at top 10. So now let's take off the dust jacket, see what we've got underneath. The main hardcover itself is pretty much the exact same image that we get on the slipcase, bar all of the text. It's pretty much just the images on both sides. Now, as this is an Absolute edition, we also get a ribbon. Instead of needing your own bookmark, you get your ribbon. And these are always high quality books. Sometimes the build quality is not amazing as they're DC, especially with older ones like this. I used to have a Hush Absolute edition that the binding totally fell apart on, and my Watchmen by Alan Moore, also an Absolute edition, also has some cracked glue. This one seemed to hold together quite well. It was secondhand, I think, despite having got it from a shop. But I read through it just recently, and it makes some cracking sounds. The glue in the binding here does crackle when you open it, which you'll probably hear in a second. But as I read it, I think the structure of it actually held together quite well. And bear in mind, this book was printed in 2013, so it's about 7 years old. Alright, so let's crack it open. Crack being literally here. And we get our inside pages here. We've got a little bit of a map of Neopolis, which is the fictional city where this takes place. And it's basically like a superhero city. So everyone that lives here basically is a superhero, or in the case of Alan Moore's America's Best Comics imprint, they're called science heroes. All right, let's get into it. So we can see we've got we jump straight in. We get a really long introduction from Alan Moore, okay? And if anyone is familiar with Alan Moore's later work, he really loves to write prose these days. So we get a good 3 pages of prose here that sort of serves as like a lead into the story. And then we get going. We get an amazing first cover by Alex Ross, who, if you're not familiar, has done Kingdom Come for DC, Justice for DC, Marvel's over at Marvel, as well as a lot of other covers and projects like that for both DC and Marvel. And we get straight into it. And Gene Hart's art is really great throughout this book. And we get a pretty diverse cast of characters when we're looking through the stories themselves, each one with their own sort of superpowers. Now, just before we get too much into the story itself, with an Absolute, we get really thick good paper quality, thick stock paper, and it's gloss, so we get all of these pages reprinted in high gloss finish. So all of the characters are pretty unique inside Top 10. If you're looking at thinking about what Top 10's about, it's really about a police precinct in Neopolis on Earth, where most of the science heroes can be found in Neopolis, and because of this, it's much more futuristic than the rest of the world. But it also exists within a multiverse. So there are many, many, many different superhero type police forces that exist in the multiverse. And this one is called Top 10 because this is the 10th Earth, basically. A little bit like DC's multiverse. There's many, 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 many Earths. And this is number 10, so it's called Top 10. And the police don't need to wear uniforms or anything like that. Their uniforms are basically some type of superhero costumes. And yeah, I found it difficult to follow initially. It doesn't really ease you into who each of the characters are. It sort of just drops you in and you just got to go along for the ride. We get a lot of 9-panel grids like this. Alan Moore is famous for those in his stories. And yeah, he doesn't talk down to the reader. There's a lot of great references to different types of hero stories. Like there's definite parallels to different characters that parallel different comic book characters. There was a clear analog for Superman in here. This is supposed to be an analog for Godzilla. And Alan Moore in his later years really tries to shy away from the big ticket superhero slugfests. So if you're in this book hoping to get some big superhero showdowns, you're really not going to get many of them. I can really only think of one instance in here where you get 2 high-powered characters actually slogging it out towards the end of the major first run of Top 10. So there are some really, there's a really great scene here that it's showing that I love, where you've got superpowered rats inhabiting this apartment, and it makes reference to crises and multiversal threats and everything. And later on you even get like a panel showing up where there's like a rat version of Galactus basically, and it really made me laugh. But yeah, as we flip through, the first run of Top 10 is about 12 issues. And I really felt like, I think Alan Moore might have wanted to do more, but something might have happened and he didn't get to do another actual season. So it's split. The first is a 12-issue season, kind of like a cop show. And once that's done, we get to a sort of a follow-up about focusing on 2 of the characters from this main run. And we'll jump into that. And the art style changes when we get to that. I'm not there yet. Almost there. Okay. This is up to chapter 12. So that's the last issue of the main run itself. We'll jump through to the next part. Okay. And we can see here, this is where we jump into the sort of spin-off series that he does. out of top 10, which follows Smacks, who is one of the main characters and is the big blue guy you might have seen me flip past a few times in here, where he and his partner go to his home world. The art shifts here, and originally I didn't like this much more cartoony art style. I found the jump from the Gene Hart's art to Zander Cannon's more cartoony style a little bit jarring initially. However, it actually really fits this story, as this story is quite different to the main top 10 itself and is just as enjoyable, if not more so, in my opinion. So as long as you can deal with that shift in art tone and grow to appreciate Zander Cannon's work, you'll really enjoy this series too. And then once we get through this sort of spin-off, we get a prequel called The 49ers, which is looking at the first set of police basically for Neopolis when it first founded as a superhero city. And the art for this is fantastic. This is my favorite art in the whole series. It's much more noir. It really reflects that 1949 sort of feeling post World War II. And it looks at one of the main characters from the main run, who's the captain of the precinct in the main run when he's quite young. And yeah, this was my favorite part of the book. I really love the artwork, and I like the themes that it deals with as well. And just overall fantastic read. As I said initially when I started reading this book, I didn't know whether I was going to like it or not. The first, say, 200 pages, I was honestly thinking I was going to sell it. And that I had finally found something by Alan Moore I didn't like. But as time went by and I read more and more, and the stories, I got to know the characters better and the stories progressed, I loved the book more and more, and to the point that now I think it's definitely going to be a keeper in my collection, and I can actually understand why it's got whale status now. From a purely selfish perspective, I'm happy that it's not easy to find because it gives my book a bit more value. But from a selfless standpoint, I would really like DC to reprint these stories so that more people can access them. I'm not really sure how that will work with Alan Moore and DC. They still seem to print plenty of copies of his other books, so I don't know why they couldn't do it for this one, because it definitely deserves to be in people's collections, and there's a lot of great content in here. And to my knowledge, this collects all of the work Alan ever did on Top 10. Looking at the extras up the back here, we get all of our character designs, mostly done by Gene Hart, and layouts for different sets, and some page layouts, and that's about it. As I said, one of the bigger absolutes that I've got, the only ones I've got with more issues, bigger size, would probably be my Preacher Absolute sets and maybe my Dark Knight Master Race, but half of that's covers. So if you can find this, is it worth you picking up? Absolutely, 100% yes. If you love Alan Moore's work, you are going to like this. Absolutely, 100%. Give it time. You may not like it straight away. It's not your typical superhero fare, but give it a chance and you'll definitely enjoy it. Should you go out and pay $300 or whatever on eBay for it? No, okay? As great as it is, I don't think anyone should be spending that kind of money on a book. Obviously, it's up to you what you want to do with your money. Don't let me tell you what to do. But from my personal perspective, I don't think anyone should be paying prices like that. But if you come across this for cover price or even maybe $150, definitely worth it. Pick it up. And again, I hope DC reprint this stuff so that more and more people can enjoy it. All right, guys, that brings a close to our first whale overview. I should be able to do a lot more in this series very soon. If anyone wants me to do overviews of the Promethea Absolutes, or maybe some of the Hickman Avengers, or any of the other whales you might have seen that I have in my collection from my collection video, definitely let me know. I'm happy to do some of those. I should be getting a copy of Colossal Conan pretty soon, which will probably be my next whale overview. Yeah, so thanks guys for watching. See you next time. Bye.